Welcome to RLP Audiobooks channel, the channel that brings forgotten books back to life in audio format, so you can listen to whenever and wherever you desire, whether you're driving, chilling, and even sleeping. Please consider subscribing to the channel and click the notifications button so you don't miss out on any other videos. Now, relax, listen, ponder, and enjoy.
Surah 80. Abasa. Context. Period of revelation. The commentators and traditionists are unanimous about the occasion of the revelation of this surah. According to them, once some big chiefs of Mecca were sitting in the Prophet's assembly, and he was earnestly engaged in trying to persuade them to accept Islam. At that very point, a blind man named Ibn Maktum approached him to seek explanation of some point concerning Islam. The Prophet disliked his interruption and ignored him. Thereupon, God sent down this surah. From this historical incident, the period of the revelation of this surah can be precisely determined. In the first place, it is confirmed that Ibn Maktum was one of the earliest reverts to Islam. Ibn Hajar and Ibn Kathir have stated that he was one of those who had accepted Islam at a very early stage at Mecca. Secondly, some of the hadith which relate this incident show that he had already accepted Islam, and some others show that he was inclined to accept it and had approached the Prophet in search of the truth. The Prophet's wife Aisha states that coming to the Prophet, he had said,
"O Messenger of God, guide me to the straight path."
According to Abdullah bin Abbas, he had asked the meaning of a verse of the Qur'an, and said to the Prophet,
"O Messenger of God, teach me the knowledge that God has taught you."
These statements show that he had acknowledged the Prophet as a messenger of God, and the Qur'an as a book of God. Thirdly, the names of the people who were sitting in the Prophet's assembly at that time have been given in different hadith. In this list, we find the names of Utbah, Shaybah, Abu Jahl, Umayyah bin Khalaf, Ubay bin Khalaf, who were the bitterest enemies of Islam. This shows that the incident took place in the period when these chiefs were still on meeting terms with the Prophet, and their antagonism to Islam had not yet grown so strong as to have stopped their paying visits to him, and having dialogues with him, off and on. All these arguments indicate that this is one of the very earliest surahs to be revealed at Mecca. The theme and subject matter. In view of the apparent style with which the discourse opens, one feels that in this surah, God has expressed his displeasure against the Prophet for his treatment of the blind man with indifference, and attending to the big chiefs exclusively. But when the whole surah is considered objectively, one finds that the displeasure in fact has been expressed against the disbelieving Quraysh, who because of their arrogant attitude and indifference to the truth, were rejecting with contempt the message of truth being conveyed by the Prophet. Then besides teaching him the correct method of preaching, the error of the method that he was adopting at the start of his mission has also been pointed out. His treatment of the blind man, with neglect and disregard, and devoting all his attention to the Quraysh chiefs, was not for the reason that he regarded the rich as noble, and a poor blind man as contemptible, and God forbid. There was some rudeness in his manner, for which God reproved him. But as a matter of fact, when a caller to truth embarks on his mission of conveying his message to the people, he naturally wants the most influential people of society to accept his message, so that his task becomes easy. For even if his invitation spreads among the poor and weak people, it cannot make much difference. Almost the same attitude had the Prophet also adopted in the beginning, his motive being only sincerity, and a desire to promote his mission, and not any idea of respect for the big people, and hatred for the small people. But God made him realize that that was not the correct method of extending invitation to Islam, but from his mission's point of view, every man who was a seeker for the truth was important, even if he was weak, or poor. And every man who was heedless to the truth, was unimportant, even if he occupied a high position in society. Therefore, he should openly proclaim and convey the teachings of Islam to all and sundry, but the people who were really worthy of his attention were those who were inclined to accept the truth, and his sublime and noble message was too high to be presented before those arrogant people, who in their arrogance and vanity, thought that they did not stand in need of him, but rather he stood in need of them. This is the theme of verses 1 to 16. From verse 17 onward, the rebuke directly turns to the disbelievers, who were repudiating the invitation of the messenger of God. In this, first they have been reproved for their attitude, which they had adopted against their Creator, Provider, and Sustainer. In the end they have been warned of the dreadful fate that they would meet in consequence of their conduct, on the day of resurrection. Surah 80. Abasa.
He frowned.
In the name of God, the most compassionate, the most merciful. He,
the prophet,
frowned and turned away, because there came to him, the blind man,
Abdullah, the son of Maktum,
interrupting. But what would make you perceive, O Muhammad, that perhaps he might be purified?
As a result of what he learns from you.
Or be reminded, and the remembrance would benefit him? As for he, who thinks himself, without need.
Meaning, without need of faith, or need of God. Here, it is in reference to a certain influential member of the Quraysh, whom the Prophet had hoped to bring to Islam.
To him, you give attention. And not upon you, is any blame, if he will not be purified.
The Prophet was responsible only for conveying the message, not for ultimate guidance.
But as for he, who came to you striving for knowledge, while he fears God, from him you are distracted. No. Indeed
these verses
are a reminder, so whoever wills, may remember it.
The revelation, or him, meaning God.
It is recorded in honored sheets, exalted and purified, carried by the hands of messenger angels, noble and dutiful. Destroyed, cursed, is the human being.
Meaning, those who deny God's message.
How disbelieving is he? From what thing?
Substance.
Did he create him? From a sperm drop. He created him, and destined for him
his proportions, provisions, lifespan, etc.
Then he eased the way for him
into this world, meaning his birth. It may also refer to life itself, which has been made easier by God's guidance.
Then he causes his death, and provides a grave for him
to conceal his decaying body.
Then when he wills, he will resurrect him. No. He,
man,
has not yet accomplished what he commanded him. Then let the human being look at his food, how we poured down water in torrents. Then we broke open the earth, splitting it with sprouts, and caused to grow within it grain, and grapes and herbage, and olive and palm trees, and gardens of dense shrubbery, and fruit and grass, as enjoyment.
Provision.
For you and your grazing livestock. But when there comes the deafening blast,
the piercing blast of the horn, which signals resurrection. As-Sahah is also a name for the day of resurrection.
On the day, a man will flee from his brother, and his mother, and his father, and his wife, and his children, for every man.
That day
will be a matter adequate for him.
Meaning, to occupy him. He will be concerned only with himself, thus forgetting all others.
Some faces
that day
will be bright, laughing, rejoicing at good news. And other faces
that day
will have upon them dust. Blackness will cover them. Those are the disbelievers, the wicked ones.
Thank you for listening. If you have enjoyed listening to this book, please give it a like, and consider subscribing to the channel, and click the notifications button, so you don't miss out on any other videos.